All right, well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. As you heard me in the State of the State talk about the Arizona Promise, and we can't restore the Arizona Promise until every Arizonan feels safe in their community. As a social worker, I have seen drugs upend people's lives, upend communities. We've all seen the devastating effects. Increase in fentanyl has wreaked havoc in our state and across the country. Countless communities have been ripped apart because of this epidemic. Ashley Dunn is someone who was a victim of the fentanyl epidemic, and she lost her life at 26 years old. Her parents worked really hard to pass the Ashley Dunn Act, which provides more accountability and tools for law enforcement to go after dealers. And I was proud to sign that bill into law. And when I did that, I had the chance to meet her parents. And you could tell that they're still reeling from the loss of Ashley. Our law enforcement officers in DPS work really hard to help stop this crisis. And I lost my remarks. The brave men and women of the Department of Public Safety who stand here today play a major role in keeping our state safe. That is exactly what they have done here, and the numbers prove it. The amount of fentanyl pills seized by DPS has increased exponentially from 89 pounds in 2018 to 2,647 pounds in 2024. And in just a 3-month period last year, DPS helped seize 6,500 pounds of illicit drugs. Whether it's traffic stops or drug busts, DPS has been laser focused on getting these drugs out of our communities. And there really is no way to quantify the lives that have been saved by these efforts. How many families have stayed intact because of these actions? And that's why I'm fighting for a 5% pay raise for our frontline law enforcement, including DPS troopers and state police. Day after day, year after year, these brave individuals have demonstrated a commitment to us, and it's time we show our commitment to them. This isn't just the right thing to do so that these men and women can support their families. It's the right thing to do for the state. It will help ensure that we are able to attract and retain the highest quality personnel. And this is something that I hear about across the state, just shortages in law enforcement and needing to stay competitive so that we have the best working in our law enforcement agencies, the best serving our families and our communities. This is how we will restore the Arizona Promise, by strengthening security, reinforcing freedom, and keeping our children out of harm's way. It's time to put our money where our mouth is. And I want to thank every DPS trooper who has put their life on the line to keep our communities safe. And I am not going to stop fighting until you get the raise that you deserve. And with that, I'm happy to turn it over to Colonel Glover.
Thank you, Governor Hobbs. Thank you for your leadership. And I also want to thank all of our media partners for being here today. To be able to highlight some of the work that's being done by our troopers out in the field. They've done some exceptional work. And so I just want to thank you for really being able to highlight and publish this and put it out to our community. First, I also want to thank our troopers for the work that they are doing out in the field. They continuously and tirelessly go out on a day-to-day basis, making stops, making arrests, holding those accountable that are committing illegal criminal actions. And so I want to thank them for all of their efforts as well. As law enforcement, our mission is to provide public safety for the state of Arizona, fighting the flow of illegal narcotic drugs. In Arizona, this is a top priority for us. It's a top priority for the Department of Public Safety. And I can't stress enough the importance of the mission, which is fundamental in protecting the safety and the health and the welfare of our Arizona communities. The results of what you see here today represents a united effort of our organization, working across all divisions in unison combating drug trafficking. And as you can see here today, there's a lot of work and a lot of effort that has been put in to us going out and combating illicit drugs. The results of this collaborative effort shows that we are working together with all of our partners, state, working with local and county and federal. And that work is something that we don't take for granted. We have a lot of gratitude for the partnerships that we have and the relationships that we've built going out and essentially working side by side, hand in hand, combating the effects of illegal drugs in our community. And I also want to say that most everybody has had an instance where they've either had a loved one or somebody that they know that have been impacted by illegal substances in this community. And we're here to still fight that fight and continue our mission in being able to take these drugs off the street. We're here to we want to make sure that we also express the fact that we've invested a lot in being able to advance our technology, advance what we do in the field, advance our practices on how we actually combat illegal drug trafficking. Those advances in what we do, we have to adapt. There's adaptability that comes along with what we do because the drug organizations that are out there are constantly ever evolving, ever changing, and ever adapting, and we have to stay ahead of those criminal networks. And so part of the result of what you see here today is us making that effort and that approach. We're committed to saving lives by taking drugs off the street, and we'll continue to fight to take drugs off the streets of Arizona and protect our Arizona community. I want to once again thank our media partners for all their support in highlighting this exceptional work of our state troopers and our department's commitment to a safer Arizona. And now we'll have Lieutenant Colonel Mitchell of Criminal Investigations come up and speak.
Thank you, Colonel Glover. Good morning. It's a privilege to be here with you today, highlighting the exceptional work of the detectives assigned to the Criminal Investigations Division at the Arizona Department of Public Safety to fight against illegal drug trafficking. Our detectives are on the front lines, meticulously investigating and dismantling drug trafficking organizations. Drug traffickers have one priority, and it's not human lives, it's money. They prey on and exploit the vulnerable, destroying families and ruining lives. Their tactics are dynamic and constantly evolving. Detectives adapt continuously to stay ahead, gathering and leveraging intelligence, executing covert operations, and building cases that directly lead to arrests and network disruptions. There are inherent risks of undercover operations, and yet our detectives courageously conduct these operations in their commitment to protecting Arizona communities. The complex nature of modern investigations requires constant innovation. The integration of advanced investigative tools and specialized training empowers those detectives to effectively counter criminal organizations. The detectives are relentless in their pursuit of drug traffickers. They manage multiple investigations at once. They work long hours, often at night and on weekends. Their focused efforts are essential to keeping our community safe. Arizona DPS seizures in 2024 were staggering, with 2,647 pounds of fentanyl, 4,191 pounds of methamphetamines, 891 pounds of cocaine, 149 pounds of heroin, and 7,039 pounds of marijuana seized through these investigations, which are supported by a robust network of resources, leadership commitment, and ongoing interagency collaboration. Today, I want to publicly thank our troopers, detectives, and support staff for their dedication and the personal sacrifices they make to keep our community safe. Their work not only disrupts illegal drug trafficking, but plays a vital role in safeguarding Arizona's future. Thank you again for being here to highlight and recognize the hard work of the men and women at the Arizona Department of Public Safety, and thank you for your partnership.
give you the microphone. I'm going to start from here, and then I'll go down to you, Howie, the last question.
These are drug questions first, and then, yes?
You do whatever you have to do.
Yes.
Okay, I would like to start off by asking about the bill at the state capitol from President Peterson, which is about law enforcement but would require them to assist with ICE and deportation efforts, federal immigration law. What are your thoughts on that? Is it necessary?
The fact is that we already have these agreements in place, and law enforcement agencies can voluntarily enter into them. I don't think it's right to give a one-size-fits-all mandate to local agencies that are already struggling with resources and who already do cooperate with different law enforcement agencies. This would tie our hands and require us to be in lockstep with Washington, D.C. policy, which I've often disagreed with on immigration. President Peterson has often disagreed with on immigration. And I think the way that we're doing things now works just fine.
Good morning. The Division of Developmental Disabilities budget runs out in 2 months. What exactly are you doing to ensure that no people who are cared for by DDD go wanting for care?
Well, that's why we submitted a supplemental budget request because of the caseload growth that we've seen in this program. We provide some of the best services for our folks in DDD care anywhere in the country. And, supplemental budget requests are a routine part of budgeting. And I am hopeful that the Republicans in the legislature don't decide to politicize this. It's no different than when they requested a supplemental budget request for their overrun ESA, which is their favorite entitlement program. And we need to keep these services in place for these families who need them.
Regarding the caregiver program, just a year old, did your office spend money on that program that was not budgeted?
We spent, the money spent on that program was approved.
What does that mean?
It was an approved program that had caseload growth.
Good morning, Governor. Senator Farnsworth has introduced a bill that would move DCS back under DES. I spoke to him. He said he thinks lawmakers made a mistake back in 2014 when they separated the two. You were in the Senate at that time. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with Senator Farnsworth? What are your thoughts on moving DCS back under DES?
I was very involved in that agency split, and we did what was right for children in Arizona, and I still believe it's the right thing. We need an agency that's entirely focused to protecting our most vulnerable children, and that's what we have now. Certainly, there's always going to be room to improve things, and I'm absolutely open to having those conversations. But I don't think consolidating agencies that provide very important functions is the right call.
Hi, Governor. You've given us your thoughts on the Arizona ICE Act. What are your thoughts on how federal immigration policy is being carried out and how it's impacting Arizonans?
So it is routine for law enforcement agencies to cooperate, and that's been happening. It happened in the last administration. It's happening now. We are certainly getting less information and less timely information, and we're continuing to try to keep those lines of communication open so that we can all work together to keep our communities safe.
Hi, Governor. I have two questions. First of all, the drugs that are on display here, do these come predominantly from a given area, or, and then I will have one for the Governor. Yeah, describe where these come from.
So the drugs that you see here on the table are accumulation of different investigations that took place throughout the year.
But do they tend to come more from the border, from the metro areas, northern Arizona?
It's all over the state.
No place is a hot spot particularly?
No.
Okay. And Governor, switching topics, the Starter Home Act was introduced and is moving through the legislature right now. It makes a change from the bill that you vetoed last year. Where do you where are talks on finding some kind of common ground on increasing housing stock in Arizona, affordable housing?
What I can say about that is that there are talks, and I highlighted in my Save the State the progress we made with cutting red tape on a package of bills last year, and that I was open to doing more of that. So I'm hopeful we can get to a place of compromise and have a bill or bills that allow us to build more housing to address the housing crisis we're facing.
Director, come on. This question sort of follow up to what Mary Jo was asking. How much of this is a result of traffic stops versus undercover work? They're two very different things. I'm not saying the traffic stops themselves aren't dangerous, but how much of what you've seized up here is traffic stops and you found a load vehicle versus the undercover work that the Lieutenant Colonel was talking about?
Well, I don't have the specific in terms of the numbers that was taken off in terms of undercover work versus traffic stops. Like I said, it's a cumulative effort that is presented here of our state troopers from both investigations and from traffic stops. So I don't have that exact number, but we can get you that at a later time.
Okay. Now, Governor, now it's your turn. Governor, a lot of people have looked at the budget. We have a president of ASU who's paid 10 times more than you are, a U of A president who's paid 9 times more, an NAU president paid like 7 times more. Are these people really worth the salary, or do we really need to rein this in? I mean, I'm assuming you're running an $18 billion budget at $90,000 a year. Do we really need million-dollar university presidents?
You know, I support cutting out expenses that we can wherever possible. I don't know that, and I'm assuming you're talking about a bill that's moving to cap university president salaries. Arizona is home to cutting-edge, world-class universities who are engaged in significant research that is keeping us on the cutting edge of medicine, on technology, on advanced manufacturing, on solving our state and our world's climate crisis. And we have to ensure that we're getting the best of the best. And I don't think the legislature should be in the business of kneecapping our universities in being able to do that.
But is all the good work at the universities, and I appreciate that, due to the fact that we've got Michael Crow at the top versus deans and vice presidents and professors doing that? I mean, you know, is it really necessary to have a guy paying $1 million because he has $70,000 a year housing allowance, getting $10,000 a year for a car allowance to make these findings?
Look, I'm not going to. I don't think that kneecapping our universities is the best way to address this issue.
Good morning, Governor. I'd like your thoughts on a House bill, you probably are aware of it, that would force you, the Attorney General, to cooperate with the immigration authorities. I just want your thoughts on that.
When I was sworn into office, I took an oath to uphold the Constitution and laws of the United States and the state of Arizona, and that's what I'm doing. I don't need another law to make me do that.
One more question, the last question.
Hi, Governor. I know you're saying that not all of this is coming from one area in particular, but we do know that a lot of fentanyl and drugs cross the border, and that about 80% of those last couple of years have been coming from American citizens. What can be done on the state level and the law enforcement level to kind of rein in that issue?
Would you like to take that one? Sure. Don't want to put you on the spot. Okay.
Well, I think that when you're talking about the overall aspect of looking at it holistically, I think there's a good aspect of this where we need to start making sure that we're educating people in the right way. A lot of the things that we're seeing in terms of like youth being involved in some of the drug transactions, a lot of programming needs to actually come in place to where we can make sure that we're educating them about the aspect of the criminal aspect of what could happen when you're being told, or getting a message from WhatsApp and you're getting offered money to go down and pick up a load for somebody, and what the consequences of that is. And I think that that's part of some of the issues that we're also seeing as well. And many local jurisdictions, county, are also seeing the same thing.
between us.